Welcome to the Kawartha Small Business Podcast, where we believe the Kawarthas can be the most thriving region in Canada for small business. I'm Brian Rump from Profit Coach.
And I'm Matt Garrity from Matty G Digital.
All right, Matt, we will jump right in today. Our episode is called Starting Point, sort of why you need a starting point. We are also cleverly going to fit in starting point digital marketing and why that exists. What are your opening thoughts about that? Are you excited?
Yeah, shout out Starting Point Digital Marketing, longtime friend of the show and sponsor.
Yes. Longtime friend of the show, sponsor, also one of your businesses. We could say that out loud. And they've been a sponsor for quite a while. It's been a launched brand for many months. And I think we are overdue to, sort of dig in and talk about Starting Point. But also lately, I know for me, I've just been reflecting, I sometimes hate saying it that way, on just starting points for a lot of different things and, why you need them. So,
Yeah, I started Starting Point Digital Marketing back in February of 2020. I think it was something that was on my mind for probably at least a year prior to that, probably longer, as to like where Matty G Digital specifically was going. Matty G Digital was growing. I was honestly able to charge more for it. I was able to charge a more appropriate market value for Matty G Digital because I started it really low to at a point where I didn't really want people to think about it when I talked to them. I just needed income right away. I I was out on my own. I was the only person in my family generating income and revenue into our home. I'm very careful to say I'm not the only one that was working. My wife is at home taking care of both of our kids, and she is working an equal amount. She just gets paid like a whole heck less than me.
yep.
And I realized that I needed, again, income quickly out of the gate. I was not terribly interested in grinding it out and hustling it out, trying to financially support two children and a wife and a mortgage. Anyways, Matty G Digital, like things were really cheap at first. Things started to grow for a lot of different reasons. I started to bring in different clientele, wanted to see that grow, bring in different people and contractors and vendors to help that grow and like bring in their expertise. And then honestly, I think that starting point really started out of guilt more than anything. And I don't remember how much you remember about our personal conversations about it, but IG Digital was like no longer becoming what I set out for it to be, which was affordable marketing for the local businesses. It,
Yep.
and I wasn't able to do that anymore. Or like I was, but I don't know if I couldn't or didn't want to or wouldn't. I don't know what the word is. I'm getting like really soapbox on the couch therapist right now. I'm sorry. But I just Matty G Digital wasn't going that way. It couldn't be as affordable anymore. I still think it's affordable. I still think it's market rate. I think it's actually in a lot of cases cheaper than
Oh,
market.
yeah. I'll just chime in and say, yes, it's cheaper. I think if the word affordable is dangerous sometimes. I think,
Yeah.
affordable in business, it has to match your investments and the returns you need and want. I think what I like about Starting Point and why it's such a brilliant name is it gets people started on digital marketing. Matty G Digital was designed to better use digital marketing, get better results. But I love that you said it started from a place of guilt, which is empathy, which is key in any business, and creating products that match a real client need. And that's where people have a hard time. Businesses going from paying nothing and doing nothing digital to all of a sudden jumping into something that's big. bigger. It seems unaffordable because your results aren't going to be instant. Um, so the starting point to me is it gets you started on digital marketing. There's a clear path to upgrade. So for businesses, once you get started, you start understanding what works, what doesn't, how to use it. Then you can invest more in the areas that are going to work for more for you, and that's where Matty G Digital comes in. You can be more strategic. You can be a bit more focused. Yes, the hard cost, in quotes, is a bit more, but the value is also a lot higher, and it takes more, work from more experienced people, whether yourself or on your team.
Yeah, and that's it. And I'm way more comfortable saying this now. And the value that Matty G Digital brings now is me. It's my experience, it's my knowledge, it's my skills, it's my strategy that I've accumulated over the 6+ years of doing this rather exclusively. And again, as like that was starting to grow, I've seen all the other local marketing businesses that are big and they're successful, and I think that they have forgotten about the local businesses and left them behind. And I didn't want to do that, and I felt legitimately upset about that. And that's when Starting Point started, where how do I remove myself from a price perspective, and how can I get prices down to an affordable rate, which I kind of knew in my head, like where that number needed to be, which in most cases, like $295 a month, $395 a month, and kind of work backwards from that perspective and figuring out how do we put together actual packages and specific processes based on what people really need for these things.
Yeah, and I love it because it's designed for a price point that's palatable. It's designed for people who want to get started. And I think, the typical profile, and there's so many businesses like it. Some do no advertising, some people do some print advertising. I know people who spend thousands of dollars a year on, the colored page ads, and don't even have a website. They don't have social media
Jesus.
profiles. Like they need to start, right. And you can start with clear, basic. You don't need to get clever. You don't need to get crazy creative. You need something that's exists and is consistent, and that's Starting Point digital marketing. I know I've been part of several projects now of websites being created by Starting Point, and they're awesome. The price is great. Like, to me, no, everybody is, $500 away from an awesome website with any business idea they have. Yeah, long term, as you grow, you might need a higher level of design, functionality, different things. But just getting started is, the most critical, I think, step for, any business, any entrepreneur.
The website stuff has been the most successful, and I want to say the easiest. We've sold a ton of them. I don't know if that's an appropriate measurement, but we sold a lot of them. We've sold like one and a half, I want to say, on average since we launched. And that was something that was late in the game too. Like, I don't think we put that process together until a couple months into it. And you were the one that was like, you need to do websites with this idea, and the way you've diluted your processes and it's so rigid. I'm like, no, it doesn't make any sense. There's no way we can do that with design. It's too subjective. There's too much involved. There's too much custom. And I was literally driving around with my kids trying to distract them while my wife was out grocery shopping. And I just sit in the parking lot at one point, and it like all dawned on me, like the whole process just like exploded, just dropped out of nowhere. I wasn't even thinking about it. And I was like, this is how we do it. And I remember texting you, I'm like, I figured it out. We can do this. We can do this with websites. We can do this with logos. And it's been fascinating how people have jumped on that. They've been excited about that. That, and again, is like strictly to do with price point stuff, where your typical website project, like a custom website project, forget the timeline. People don't really particularly care about timeline. It's always price. It's $2,500, $3,500, $5,000 or more. You've heard all those stories. This is $500 to get your website online. It doesn't have anything crazy and wacky and that's going to blow up in your face or anything like that. It's just like a very simple, you got a homepage and about, some services and a contact page. It gets you all up and live online and it gets you into the digital world right away.
And I think it looks great because it doesn't look homemade. It looks, professional. Again, get you started. And when you get started, you can then start tracking some data. If you're a new business, I always joke, and I knew this for myself, whatever you start your business as, it will be completely different in 6 months, a year, 2 years.
Yeah.
So if you spend too much time, going out of the gate with a super well designed website that costs a lot of money, you're just going to want to change it all. And I have learned that lesson. I spent way too much on a website at one point in my past, and it's not even existing anymore. And, it worked, I think, for what I thought was going to happen. But then what really happened wasn't at all what I thought was going to happen. So, I would have been much better off had Starting Point existed to get started, and then you can upgrade. Again, I love Starting Point, Matty G Digital. There's a clear path to upgrade. You have access to some really great professionals who can do, if you want a crazy high level of graphic design, like you can do that and facilitate that, but you don't need that to get started. So, this is a good metaphor for all sorts of business or different elements of business. And it's, I think, a really great product that, again, like anything, not enough people know about it yet. But, for any business, they can, get started with, really growing their digital marketing.
Yeah, like your marketing is never going to be perfect. It's always going to be changing. It's always going to be evolving. I don't know if I should say this out loud, but I'm not sure I ever like anything that we do in the first month with people's social media. I'm cringing as I say that out loud. What's that?
I think that's good and it's honest. And for me, one of the reasons I love marketing is a constant experiment. And it takes a while. And the other neat thing about, you might not like something, but it could work. Because I know I've done that before where I've had stuff go out for projects I'm part of and I hate it, but then it works. And then there's stuff I love and think is awesome and it does nothing. So there's no perfect blueprint. So you need to develop that cadence, develop that comfort level, develop how you look at those things. As I say this, I'm thinking, in a way, why would anyone start with Matty G Digital? Start with, Starting Point, learn some stuff, and then upgrade. Which again, I think it depends where you're coming from and what you already know. But you got to learn those things somehow.
Yeah, I don't want to go into that sales pitch right now. I'm not sure how comfortable I am with that. But yeah, every marketing again, it's always changing, it's always evolving. With Starting Point specifically, I'm trying to think of the best way to summarize its methodology because it's a couple different things, but it comes down to two things, one of which you've mentioned a couple times with consistency and cadence. That's the key. Again, if you're only going to listen to two things ever in this podcast and go and try to start your own marketing agency, I encourage it. Go for it. Start with these two things. Do consistent posting 3 times a week. That's it. It's not once a week. It's not 5 times a week. It's not 5 and 1 and 3 and 4. Just go 3 times a week. Keep that up forever. Don't ever take your foot off the gas ever. It's all about consistency. You've mentioned about, well, it works, it doesn't work. That's subjective. We don't know on every post. The only way that we can judge every post is by likes, which I think are kind of, they're not irrelevant, but they're one of the things I paid the least amount of attention to. But we just need to be there when people are seeing us. The things that I'm most interested in are reach and impressions. Reach is the amount of unique people that see a post. Impressions is how many times was that post on someone's screen. That's all we're trying to do. That's marketing. We're promoting ourselves. We're taking a billboard, we're taking a radio ad, we're taking a brochure, and we are putting it online in a social post to get in front of people in a somewhat targeted way with social posts. Not as targeted as a lot of other ways. So there's always going to be some, let's say, irrelevant reach and impressions, but that would be number one. And then number two would be literally just focus those 3 posts on a combination of who you are and what you offer. That's it. I'm going to snap. I'm going to rant for a second now, but like, don't tell me otherwise. Don't tell me we need to post more about being an industry leader and here's the things that I'm doing at night and here's the charities that I'm donating to and all this other nonsense. It doesn't matter. No one cares. Talk about your business. Talk about your products. Talk about your services. Tell people that you exist and what you offer. I'm done. Sorry.
Yeah, and I will just also add to that how to get it. And that sounds like intuitive for some people. They're like, oh, well, obviously people know how to get it. But there are so many things that I see and I want, and I'm like, do I direct message you on Instagram for this? Do I go to your store to get it? Do I have to pre-order it? Like, how does it work? And I won't get into some examples, but there are some cool things that I see that I want to buy that I haven't bought yet simply because I don't know how to get it. And like a great post would be like, here's how you get it. Or, we are open today from this time to this time. Just remind me of that stuff. Like, again, the consistency, and the basics. And that gets you started. And if you really want to do other stuff, layer it on from there. That's a conversation sort of beyond a starting point. But for every business, you need that starting point.
Oh, absolutely. And I've had a couple, I'm not going to say complaints, but just conversations in general for both of the marketing businesses. 2 things will come up is, oh, so this is like an exact quote. So you focus your social media more so on selling. I'm like, well, I didn't reply this way in the conversation. I didn't really know what to say. I was like, honestly, just taken back. Because I kind of have heard that before in different ways when people are like, we need this to be a certain way. We need to be authentic. We need to be, no, you need to sell your business. That's what you're doing for. Your business page is for your business. It's for selling your products. It's for making money. You know what's authentic? Making money off of the business that you are running. That's what you are
and
doing.
Having products and services that meet a need. Like that's the authenticity. And I think people forget that. Like you're not tricking people. Like
No.
or tricking people only works so long. But if you're serving a need, solving someone's problem, then that's what you should be talking about. And you don't have to pretend to be something different, but marketing is about selling, right? I think I've been quoted on this podcast before. It's not marketing; it's just a nice dog picture. When people are doing other things, or you could do social media, but it's not really marketing. So you should be, spending your time and resources on marketing, not the other things.
Yeah, the whole tricking someone into selling something, like that's so dated. Like that's what sales was 20 years ago, longer, whatever. That's Wolf of Wall Street stuff. Sales now isn't about tricking people. It's about helping them. It's like, oh, you have this problem. I have a solution. It's this product. It's this service. I'm going to tell you about it. You probably already know about it, but yeah, I have a couple, I'm sure you have more questions for me. That's all sales is now. It's not really about trying to trick anyone. And that's what we're doing with marketing. Like we're getting ourselves out there and putting our business out there. If you want to do the dog picks and all these other things, there's fine. I've been pushed lately and I've actually found some ways to incorporate that. I swear to you, I just got off working on ads incorporating dogs into an ad that makes no sense at all at site, but actually it does make a little bit sense when you actually start to like force it in. Anyways,
People do like dogs, and again, they have their place, right? And people will look at it. Um, so you want to subtly make sure that if you are going to do that, people at least know who you are. Sometimes I want to play a game, and I know I do this sometimes where I will send you a post and be like, "Guess what business this is?" And there's like no way to tell. But yeah, that's that consistency. We're talking about starting points. One of the other things I wanted to sort of bring in is I've worked lately with a few different businesses that are looking to launch brand new products. And what's been fascinating is they are looking for, the solution to like, how do I make this new product sell? Like, is it good? Basically, what's the easy way to just do it that will work? And the answer is, I don't know, but you need to start. And when it's good enough to launch, you need to launch it. You need to try stuff, and then you need to adapt that as you go. And then you need to listen to your customers and people who give you money for that and see, why they bought it, what was the problem they're solving, and then adapt your marketing, um, to that as you go. But to do any of that, you need that starting point. So you need to start somewhere.
You have to do
Um,
something.
so yeah, you just got to start and then see what happens and adjust from there. And that's where the experience and skill comes into, and having someone on your team marketing, because you don't know the answer, but you do know the stuff that definitely does not work or what's a complete waste of time and money. So you can narrow down and have a really good educated guess on where to start, and then the skills to know what you're looking for and how to adapt it, and when to change something, when to just be really patient and sort of keep at a strategy. Those are the tougher things to do, that an expert's going to help you out with.
Yeah, and be really weary of where your starting point is. And I've heard like a lot of wacky stuff lately. I'll get into a couple of them like briefly at least, one of which is video, our favorite thing to talk about, of course, from a starting point. But like if you really actually now think about marketing, like my whole approach to marketing is getting found and then reminding people that you exist. That's it. So you're getting found on Google with ads or search engine optimization like below ads in the map section. Maybe you're getting found on social media, and then you're following those people around, and that's social posts again, or those are other ads that will follow people around in the way that people think is creepy, etc. That's the foundation of marketing. If you're like, okay, I need to do something from a marketing perspective, and the first thing I'm going to do is do video marketing, and people can't find you on Google, you're toast. You don't have the foundation. I think we've said this before, but it's like trying to build your roof of a brand new home without pouring the foundation. Like it makes no sense. You need to have like some core principles in place. The video marketing is the one that honestly, like I think there's coaches out there and there's marketing coaches out there that push video marketing because it's a way for them to sell their coaching services without any tangible way to determine if this video is working, and it's not affecting anything else like Facebook and Instagram metrics that you can look at, Google metrics that you can look at. It's a great ambiguous thing that the coach is like, it's going to take like 8 to 12 months to work. And then you're going to spend 8 to 12 months working with them, and you'll have no closer idea if it worked or not because it's irrelevant and no one can find you anywhere else. The other thing I heard recently too, again, like just example of, in my opinion, kind of a wacky starting point, which was like this person is doing nothing online yet. And their idea was to post blogs on LinkedIn as much as possible. And I was like, what are you talking about? What is that going to do? It's not even going to generate traffic onto your own website. And then you can follow them around and like do other stuff with them and like introduce your. It's frightening how people, how do I say this? They're lost when it comes to a starting point for marketing.
Yeah. And you have one. It's called Starting Point Digital Marketing. I love that name so much. It's a great brand. Um, you need that starting point with your digital marketing, with your business, with anything. It's not easy, but you need to start. You need to pour the foundation before you put on the fancy roof.
Yeah.
And we would love to help you with that directly through Starting Point, through Matt and I together at the podcast. So check us out at kawarthasmallbusinesspodcast.ca. We'd love to help you start, grow, or recharge your business. Or you can send us an email at setitup@kawarthasmallbusinesspodcast.ca.